Hello, this is Ralph Bivens with the Ralph Bivens Project, and we're here today to talk to Reed Vestal, who's principal at Lee and Associates in Houston, and he's an expert in land. Really, he's an expert in land. And he knows what's going on with in the outer line areas of Houston a lot, where people are buying land and building industrial projects and subdivisions and things. And one of the reasons we decided to talk with him is because so much is happening out there in the suburbs. He also is kind of a rising star, I think. Of course, he went to A&M, but he was for the NAIOP Rising Star of the Year award, and then he won the Next Generation Award for another real estate organization. So he caught on quick. He caught on quick, and he's still got several more decades to go here. but glad you're here. And what a lot of people have been talking about and reading about is just the way, like New York, for example. People are leaving there in droves, and they're either moving to Florida or the resort area somewhere, or they're going to suburbs. Just getting high taxes and just the density of New York City with in the COVID era. Do you really want to be packed into a subway every day, or do you really want to be packed into elevator going up to your apartment on the 60th floor? But it's not just New York City. It's happening everywhere, and a lot of it is what's happening is kind of with, the way people are working from home.
Right.
And so that's kind of been a big deal. What are you seeing as this trend of the suburbs coming alive and the demand out there? Talk to me about that for a minute.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me, Ralph. It's an honor to be on your podcast. You are definitely well known throughout the Houston market, and you're considered the go-to guy in Houston real estate news. So I appreciate you having me here. There's no doubt that that's the trend right now, and it's pretty indicative in the deals that we're seeing out in the market. And, most folks think that, COVID happening, no deals are happening. And it's actually not the case at all. We are seeing a lot of folks actually picking up and moving out into the suburbs or getting a second home in the suburbs. We're also seeing a lot of folks getting second and third homes right now. And you would think, given the economic crunch that we might be in, so to speak, I think more and more people have time on their hands to go evaluate other properties. They're able to stay at home, and they're able to take a look around a little bit harder than normal. So Taylor and I, my partner Taylor and I, as well as our team member John Erg, we've been working with some of the larger or largest real estate developers in the country as far as residential development is concerned. And we have multiple sites under contract out in Houston suburbs that I would say are fairly substantial. And I think that's just because we're seeing an absorption that is record setting right now. One of my clients, who I won't necessarily name right now, they might not appreciate me mention them by name, but they told me their month of July, they had one in particular project that they had 100 homes sell in just that one particular project. And the month of July was the biggest month they've ever had in their company's history. And we're talking about a 50 to 60-year-old company. And so we're seeing that, throughout almost all home builders and home developers and lot developers. We have gotten consistent amount of phone calls, and even more phone calls since COVID has happened, looking for dirt, looking for dirt, looking for dirt. And so there's no question that home development is on the rise out in the suburbs, and the absorption amount is higher than it was pre-COVID.
Really? Yeah. What are their parameters? Are they, let's say, don't show me anything under 100 acres, or don't show anything over 1,000 acres? Do they have any?
It's typically based off of what their capital stack looks like, and you know, it's just like any other type of developer. They have certain limitations and thresholds that they have to meet, and so we have guys that are looking anywhere from 20 to 50 acres, and then we have guys that need a minimum of 100 acres for it to make sense. It's all based off their carry cost, what they have to carry within the company, and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. So typically it's the size of their organization as well as what their capital stack looks like. So everybody has a different type of appetite. I think the thing that we have to really evaluate is what is the price points that we're seeing out in the marketplace. And we're not seeing the $1 million plus homes, and you rarely see those spec anyway, that are flying off the market. It's the $200,000 to $500,000 home price points, the 250s and 300 and 350s. I have several clients that have sites that they still have some entitlement issues that they have to work out, and they're just gnawing at the bit to get the entitlement issues worked out, because they said we need lots on the ground right now, because with the amount of absorption that they're seeing the last couple of months, they want to get houses off the ground as soon as possible. And I don't blame them, because, you know, like I said, we're seeing record breaking home sales right now in the suburban markets.
So is there any particular part of town there that seems to be popular, or that they're looking at? Or?
I think it's a usual suspects. I mean, and I say that because, you know, it seems like it's fairly known in the marketplace. We're, you know, Northwest and West Houston is, it's hard to beat those areas. And we're talking about Cypress and Katy. And I think the main driving force behind that is the school districts. We're talking about two of the better school districts, not only in the Houston metropolitan area, but we're also talking about two of the better ISDs in the state of Texas, with great academics and great sports programs. And so Cypress and Katy are on fire. We're also seeing an immense amount of volume down in Rosenberg. Something that's recently picked up that I've found interesting is Willis and Conroe. Now, you know, Willis and Conroe, yes, they've been growing kind of at a steady rate. When the Exxon campus happened, which I believe that was 2012, 2013, we saw a lot of transactions happening up in Spring, Conroe, and the Woodlands. And then after 2015, 2016 and beyond, you know, the oil and gas market hasn't been super strong. So we've kind of seen the northern residential market fizzle. Only until recently, it's picked up, and we have several clients that are looking very hard in the Willis, Conroe areas, and we spent a lot of time researching, looking into it. We have a lot of data already set up in those areas, but we're refocusing, reevaluating, and there's no doubt that Willis and Conroe are in the strong mix for residential development. So Willis, Conroe, Katy, Brookshire, Cypress, Rosenberg, I would say that those are the areas. Richmond, those are the areas that we're seeing a ton of action for residential development purposes. Obviously, we do not necessarily specialize in residential development. We specialize in dirt, and so from a residential standpoint, that's where we're seeing all the action. In other asset classes, we're seeing other trends as well that are quite interesting. So,
what about? Let's switch gears for a second, and also another major trend in the nation right now, just the emergence of e-commerce, and that's really been pushed along by COVID and retailers, and people don't want to or can't go to the store. So they're getting deliveries. They're let's just do Amazon.
Right.
I was driving along the belt just yesterday, I guess, and saw a new Amazon thing I'd never even heard of. It just kind of popped up. It was probably a huge Amazon warehouse. But tell me a little bit about the impact of e-commerce on industrial land and these big. They need to be able to deliver fast to the neighborhoods. But talk to me a little bit about that.
Right. So I would say from a land perspective, and a specialized perspective, our team has been very, very involved in the industrial market, especially from speculative development purposes. We've been very fortunate to land several deals for speculative purposes with major developers. And I can tell you that since COVID, we have continued to see a lot of action on e-commerce absorption. And so there's an immense amount of activity as far as e-commerce going in a lot of different markets. I know several e-commerce deals that are happening in Southwest Houston right now. I know of a few in West and Northwest Houston, several happening in Northeast Houston up towards Humble markets. The deal is and something to really think about and just blow your mind is e-commerce from a retail perspective has only gotten a very small fraction of the market share overall when it comes to the overall retail market. And so I think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we're talking, if we were saying 100% of retail is here, e-commerce only makes up, I would say, arguably 10 to 15% of the overall market. It might be a lot less than that. I read a study not too long ago talking about it. And so I think the COVID has allowed e-commerce to progress at an even more rapid pace. And I think
Amazon stock going up to $3,000 a share.
Yeah, I should have got in a little bit quicker.
Everybody's I'll buy that.
Yeah, I know that Amazon is going bonkers. It's still going bonkers. There are multiple Amazon deals happening in the market right now as we speak. They have no signs of slowing down. We're seeing other groups that are out in the market as far as food and clothing guys out that are looking to expand as well. I think that's something that has certainly grown that is obvious to everybody out in the marketplace is e-commerce from a grocer perspective. Now, the COVID has forced folks to order groceries from their phone, forcing people that never even knew it existed. Now it's become convenient, and they are starting to take market share away from going into the grocery store from a walk-in perspective. And I think that we've seen cold storage and e-commerce cold storage grow quite a bit, and we're not going to see a slowdown in that. So from an industrial perspective, from big box distribution, Houston is doing great. There is a lot of product that was going to be hitting the market this year and next year, and there's a lot of guys that were nervous about it, but the absorption rate has been excellent. And I believe that we'll continue to see more development happening. I mean, our team is working on multiple new deals in the marketplace, anywhere from 100,000 square feet and up to 500,000 square feet for design, build, and build to suit purposes that are new projects that have sprung up since COVID. And so institutional grade distribution product is looking good in the Houston market. And I believe COVID has allowed and spurred that extra demand and activity. Manufacturing a little bit different just because of oil and gas, obviously. So
nobody's drilling oil wells.
That's right.
Rig count is incredibly low. Prices are been hanging there in the low 40s for a while, which is good. And I think that means more oil companies and at least exploration and production companies can make some money, but it's so that's good. But the drilling activity, that's a big problem hanging over the Houston economy.
Right. Something I'd like to add to the size of the buildings in Houston has grown quite a bit, and the main reason why is because of the growth of Houston itself. With the last mile and next day or same day delivery, used to a lot of this product would go to Dallas, but now with all the new technology and the demand from the consumers that are needing it now, we are seeing bigger buildings being built in the Houston market than ever before. We've seen more 500,000 square footers and bigger developed in the last 5 years in Houston than we've seen in the last 50 years. And that's attributed to the now, maybe selfish American needs, which is fine. I mean, hey, that's supply and demand. And so we're seeing less product go up to Dallas and more product stay here in Houston from the port. And that's spurring a lot of big activity from speculative developments, institutional money, and bringing a lot of money to our economy. So we're seeing a lot of big boxes being built, and I think we'll continue to see that trend as population grows.
Okay. There have been more warehouses built here than I've never seen anything like it. Reed Vestal, really appreciate you being with us on the Ralph Bivens project, which will be posted on realtynewsreport.com and other places. So thanks, Reed, and appreciate you spending time with us from the office of Lee and Associates there.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time and inviting me. And if there's any chance or any need from y'all's end for some information, I'd love to be able to contribute however I can.